Welcome learners. In this session, I'm going to introduce to you on UX designing. You should be using many apps in your phone, but hardly you'll see any app that would be having a terrible design unless it's been developed by you. Well, over here, I'm not contemplating on any of the design skills that you might possess, but I'm going to enhance by introducing to Figma. Well, designers are out there. Their job is to design the app, our job is to create it. But what exactly goes behind into designing? How you can psychologically set the user to use the app and also remember the name. Well, it's a word of mouth that every company wants to have, that if it spreads, it can be a wildfire and their app can have more number of downloads. What goes behind in creating a psychological app, designing, and as well as something which can be highlighting the important features into their app. We're going to all see in this session. So keep learning. Let's dive into the app design process, wherein we have our designer who's going to create the design. Basically, this guy is a UX designer or a user experience designer. This could be done using tools like Figma or mockups or even Adobe. Products like Photoshop can even create your designs for your app. Now, I have popularly seen Figma to get used. In fact, while researching online, I stumbled upon this entire Figma design wherein the designer has open sourced this to-do app with neatly splash screens followed by introduction screens. Then you can have the login, even the calendar design, and something called as the bottom sheet. Well, this could be very overwhelming to our app because we don't have that kind of design and even features into our app. What I'm going to do is stick to the important portions for this Figma design. In fact, I'm going to get you introduced to something called as a splash screen. Let me help you understand this with an example. You must have seen certain apps that show the logo followed by loading the home screen. This is even followed by Spotify, which neatly shows the logo, then loads the entire home page. Well, this kind of splash screen lays down an psychological effect to the user. Basically, companies want you to remember what app you are interacting with. Hence, a splash screen serves exactly that purpose. It keeps on reminding the user what app he is using. Followed by, there is onboarding pages. What do you mean by onboarding is, let's say your company wishes to explain the important features of their app and we create 3 different pages for it. In our case, the onboarding page shall explain how with the help of our to-do app you can manage your task, followed by creating a very simple daily routine, and then once you are trying to finish them up, you can have a well organized to-do list. What I'm going to do is pick up these images from Figma and try to add into my app. Let me click on this logo image. Let's say you want to download this image and add it to your app. So here is a neatly looking export vector button. Just tap on it. It will give you the PNG file. Followed by this, followed by, let me just take the entire image, export group and export frame. Let me go onto my downloads and verify if I have seen them correctly. I'll put this as logo, this I'm going to rename to intro underscore 1. This is going to be my intro underscore 2, and the last one intro underscore 3. Well, let me move ahead and try to establish the design according to this Figma design. Do you notice there's an entire black background on which the logo is displayed on the center? What I'll try and do is first creating this splash screen. I intend to show this image, in fact this entire screen, for 3 seconds, followed by I'm going to move into the home screen. Let me now introduce to you something called as app assets. You must have seen that the app initially must be having some images, some animations, or in fact a logo. It's a good idea to create an assets directory and ship the app along with the images, logos, etc. in one single directory. That's exactly where even we are heading to, wherein I'm going to categorize the assets initially with images. So onto my downloads folder, I'll cut them and paste it on the assets. So we have all the 4 images that we had basically downloaded. Now heading over to the pubsec.yaml file, I have the assets tag wherein I shall declare the folder that are external to the app. Basically, this assets never existed along with the primary folders that comes along with the Flutter project. What I have done is created my own directory which kind of is custom to my app. Hence, we have to add a declaration into the pubsec.yaml file. In this way, the app recognizes that this directory is now part of the original app. Moving on to the views, what I'll try and do, create a Dart file and then have the splash screen getting created. So class splash screen extends a stateless widget. Now over here, I'll put a scaffold wherein at the center of the screen, I'm going to display this asset image. So look over here, I'm going to direct the exact assets path, that is assets slash images slash logo.png, and in this way my entire logo, without any alterations to the size and width of the entire logo image, it's going to get displayed as it is. Let's try going to the main screen and calling my splash screen to check if the logo gets displayed or not. I'm going to run my app and then try and see if the APK file upon installation shows me the logo or not. Now, as the APK is getting installed, I'll head over to my device and yes, it shows that right tick on the center of the screen. Heading over to the screen design, what I notice is an entire black background below which there's an up to do app. Let me head over to the splash screen. First, change the background color to colors.black, and then this kind of is very huge. Let me try resizing this, the width of 250 and a height of 250. Let me do a hot reload and check how does it appear. Well, the image hardly got any changes. Let me try reducing it to 200. And yes, this looks kind of decent. What I'm going to next to do is below the image over here, there is an up to do being written. What I'll try and do is put a column, paste the asset image, and followed by my up to do. So by default, my text is going to be in black color. Let me change the color to colors.white. Keep the font with 24 size and then have the font weight to be font weight dot w 600. So basically there are different weights in which you can configure your bold. When I now do a hot reload, you get to see this up to do, and if you can play along, for example, just set this to W100 and do a hot reload. Did you notice the thickness reduced? In this way, what I can try is going up to 900. This is the thickness. However, I believe that 600 was sufficing my needs. Yeah, this looks decent. What I'm going to try and do, push the image onto the center along with the text, give some spacing so that the image and the text doesn't stick to each other, and try to have the font size as 36. Yeah, this very closely matches to the screen design which has been there. There can be font changes, but right now I'm not going to do the font changes. In fact, let it be the usual font that I get into the Flutter app. What I'm going to next do is have my entire introduction screen. Or let me put this as app introduction screen. What is the app introduction screen going to do? This is going to show these three images into the app along with this small text in which you will be able to understand what are the features of my app. Well, I'm going to be slightly lazy because I'm going to use the introduction screen Flutter plugin. Well, you would notice this kind of a screen which has got skip along with the dotted indicator to be there when you install the app. Now, what I'm going to try and do is not to recreate the design, but use this plugin for creating my own app introduction screen. But for this, I'm going to do in the next session. Hopefully you liked the conclusion wherein we have completed the entire splash screen implementation. The Figma should have been new to you, and we got a template that we are going to stick to for the rest of the sessions. In fact, our app would have the UI being created around this template. How to go about it and what goes behind creating a good offline app is something we'll be learning about in the next session. So stay tuned and keep learning with Hoping Minds.